one of the best preserved underfloor heating systems at the Roman baths. This is the hypocaust.
What if the key to a warmer winter and lower heating bills wasn't some newfangled thermostat, but a 2,000-year-old Roman invention? Long before we relied on electricity and gas, our ancestors faced bone-chilling winters with nothing but ingenuity and local resources. They developed heating systems so effective that the warmth they produced is something we still strive for today. In this video, we'll explore 7 forgotten heating systems from ancient civilizations that might just change how you think about comfort, energy, and sustainability. Systems didn't just keep people warm, they transformed how we live with heat. Roman hypocaust, the dawn of central heating. Let's start our journey in ancient Rome, where engineering marvels were not just reserved for grand aqueducts and monumental colosseums, but also found in the quiet luxury of private villas and public bathhouses. Among their many incredible innovations, one of the most remarkable was the hypocaust, a radiant heating system that revolutionized how people kept warm during the harsh winters of the Roman Empire. The hypocaust was the world's first central heating system, and it wasn't just functional, it was a status symbol. Developed around the 1st century BCE, this sophisticated method of heating was designed to provide warmth to large, sprawling spaces. The system worked by creating a hollow space beneath the floors of rooms, supported by short pillars called pelio. This space, a kind of thermal cavity, was the secret to the hypocaust's effectiveness. The heat came from a large furnace, known as the prefernium, usually located outside the building or in a basement area. Slaves would constantly stoke the fire in the furnace, keeping the flames burning day and night. The ingenuity, however, lay in what they did with the heat. Rather than letting the smoke and hot air dissipate into the open air, the Romans cleverly channeled this heat into the hollow space beneath the floor. The heat was then absorbed by the tiles or stone slabs above it, gradually warming the room. This method ensured that the floor itself was warm, a luxury that we often take for granted today. What made the hypocaust particularly unique was the way it created radiant heat. Unlike modern radiators, which primarily warm the air, the hypocaust heated the very surfaces you touched, floors, walls, and the ceilings in some cases. This type of heat is far more efficient and comforting because it radiates warmth directly to the person, creating a deep, bone-warming sensation. Imagine walking barefoot on warm stone floors in the middle of a cold, wet winter. This was the kind of luxury reserved for the elite of Roman society. But the hypocaust didn't stop at just heating floors. For extra warmth in areas like bathhouses, Romans used tubuli, hollow tiles placed inside the walls. These acted as flues, carrying the hot air from beneath the floor and sending it upwards, effectively heating the walls themselves. Once the warm air had made its way through the walls, it would eventually exit through chimneys, completing the circulation process. This radiant heat enveloped the room from every direction, providing a level of comfort that modern heating systems can struggle to replicate. Of course, this level of luxury didn't come without a price. The hypocaust required a constant supply of firewood, and the labor to maintain it was immense. But for those who could afford it, the benefits were unparalleled. A warm, comfortable space in the dead of winter, making the hypocaust the epitome of Roman engineering and opulence. The Korean Ondol. Radiant heat for the masses. While the Romans were perfecting the hypocaust, another ancient civilization was developing an equally impressive, yet more accessible, heating system. On the other side of the world, in Korea, the Ondol system became the cornerstone of comfort for families living in the frigid winters of East Asia. Unlike the Roman hypocaust, which relied on a separate furnace to generate heat, The Ondol system was a brilliant example of resourcefulness, using everyday cooking fires to warm homes. The Ondol is a simple, yet remarkably efficient system that has been used for over 2,000 years, with modern variations still in use today. The beauty of the Ondol lies in its integration with daily life. It wasn't just a heating system, it was a central part of the home. In the Ondol setup, the kitchen was built slightly lower than the other rooms in the house. This design was purposeful. When a fire was lit in the kitchen to cook food, the smoke and hot air didn't just escape through a chimney like it does in modern stoves. Instead, it was channeled through a network of horizontal stone flues that ran under the floor of the adjacent rooms. These flues, embedded in the thick stone floors called gudjang, allowed the heat to radiate up slowly and steadily, transforming the floor into a large, natural heat reservoir. The gudjang stones acted like a giant thermal battery, absorbing the heat from the cooking fire and releasing it over time, ensuring that the warmth lasted long after the fire had burned out. This efficient use of thermal mass meant that, even when the cooking fire was no longer burning, the house would remain warm for hours. The key to the Ondol's success was its radiant heat, which is far more comfortable than the convective heat produced by modern heating systems. In contrast to air heating, which just warms the air around you, radiant heat warms the surfaces you touch, providing a deeper, more even comfort. This method also meant that the heat didn't rise straight to the ceiling, leaving the floor cold, an issue that many modern homes still face. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the Ondol system is how deeply it became integrated into the culture. In traditional Korean homes, daily life revolved around the floor. People would sleep, eat, and gather on the warm floor, making it not only a source of comfort, but a vital part of the Korean way of life. Modern apartments in Korea still use a version of the Ondol system, now powered by hot water pipes instead of smoke, proving just how timeless this heating technique truly is. The Chinese Kang. Survival in the cold. In the frigid plains of northern China, families relied on a system that combined comfort, efficiency, and survival: the Kang, or heated bed stove. This ingenious system has been used for over 2,500 years and is still in use today. The Kang wasn't just a heater, it was a platform, a bed, and a living room all rolled into one. The Kang is made of clay or brick and is hollow inside. The system works by channeling the smoke from a nearby stove through these internal channels, allowing the dense brick to absorb the heat. Once the Kang is heated, it radiates warmth slowly, often for hours after the fire has gone out. This system is a perfect example of thermal mass, heating heavy materials that store warmth and release it gradually. It's not just about keeping warm, it's about efficiency. A well-designed Kang can reduce firewood consumption by over 35%. At night, the family would sleep on the Kang, sharing the warmth, a communal form of comfort. In a place where fuel was scarce, this was a lifesaver. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe entered a period where much of the advanced heating knowledge was lost. However, in the quiet world of medieval monasteries, monks kept the flame of innovation burning. They faced a similar challenge: large, drafty stone buildings that were impossible to heat with a simple fire. Using what they remembered of Roman heating systems, the monks developed their central heating solutions. Some monasteries used modified hypocausts, where fires heated large stones that would radiate heat for hours. But perhaps the most incredible innovation was their development of the first hydronic heating systems. Some monasteries diverted streams to create hot water that would be piped into the building, offering a clean, smoke-free heat source. This laid the groundwork for modern boilers and radiators. These monks might have lived in isolation, but they were experimenting with technologies that would shape the future of heating for centuries to come. Anatolian underfloor heating, the true origin story. It turns out that the Romans didn't invent underfloor heating. The first known system was found in Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, dating back to around 1300 BCE. In the ruins of a palace believed to belong to King Azawa, archaeologists discovered a sophisticated system of channels built beneath the floor, designed to pull heat from a central fire and spread it throughout the living areas. This ancient system is proof that the concept of radiant floor heating was being explored long before the Romans. Though the technology was likely reserved for the elite, it shows that the principles of using radiant heat were understood far earlier than we once thought. This discovery is a testament to human ingenuity and how ideas can spread, evolve, and be lost over time. Not everyone lived in grand palaces or monasteries. For many people in ancient Greece, heating came in the form of the central hearth and the portable brazier. The central hearth, located in the center of the room, was where the fire burned. Its central position allowed it to radiate heat in 360 degrees, warming the entire room. For added flexibility, Greeks used braziers, small pots designed to hold hot coals. The brazier was portable, allowing people to take warmth with them from room to room. Whether working, eating, or sleeping, the brazier could be moved to provide heat wherever it was needed most. This was an early form of zone heating, a concept that's only now becoming popular again with modern technology. As we've seen, the ingenuity of ancient civilizations in heating their homes was nothing short of remarkable. From the Roman hypocaust to the Korean Ondol, these systems were more than just ways to keep warm. They were symbols of creativity, resourcefulness, and sustainability. In our modern world, where convenience often trumps efficiency, perhaps there's a lesson to be learned from these ancient methods. As we continue to face rising energy costs and environmental challenges, rediscovering and adapting these forgotten systems might be the key to a more sustainable, comfortable future. Maybe, just maybe, the warmth we seek is rooted in the past.